Hello. Here we have to add 3 out of 10x squared plus 7 out of 15x. So the very first thing we need to do is to calculate least common denominator. And in order to do so, we need to factor 10x to the second and 15x first. 10x to the second can be factored into 2 times 5 times x times x. 15x can be factored into 3 times 5 times 1x. So to find our least common denominator, we need to collect the least amount of factors needed to make each of the numbers. So for the first denominator, we need 2 and 5 to make it 10. So 2 times 5. For the second denominator, we need 3 and 5 to make 15. We already have 5 from the previous denominator. We don't need the repetitions. We just need 3. So 5 times 3 will give us 15 back, while 2 times 5 will give us 10 back. We also need x times x for the x squared in the first denominator. So we have x times x. We need an x for 1x in the second denominator. Well, it's already included in the first denominator. We do not need repetitions because one of the x's in the first denominator will compensate for the x in the second denominator, while the x times x will give us x squared back. The least common denominator is literally the smallest number that can be evenly divided by each of the denominators. So the least common denominator is 2 times 5 is 10 times 3 is 30. X times x is x to the second. So when we go back to our two fractions, we multiply them by whatever it takes to make denominators equal to least common denominator. If you are not sure what the factors are, you can take the least common denominator. So we had 30x to the second and divide it by the denominator you are wondering about. So the first denominator is 10x to the second. So we have 30x squared divided by 10x squared. X squared and x squared will cancel and we get 30 divided by 10. The result is 3. So the first denominator is only missing a factor of 3. So let's multiply first denominator by 3. Whatever we do to denominator, we need to do the same thing to numerator. So we are multiplying numerator by 3 as well. This means that we are multiplying this whole fraction by 3 out of 3, which is 1. And multiplying by 1 preserves the value. So same goes for the second fraction. We're multiplying it by the missing factors. If you don't know what they are, you take LCD, which is 30x to the second, and divide it by the denominator, which is 15x. 30 divided by 15, 15 goes into 32 times. X will reduce with the x squared, and we are left with just one factor of x. So 2x is the factor that is missing from the second denominator to give us the LCD. We can multiply the second denominator by a factor of 2x, and whatever we do to denominator, we have to do the same thing to numerator and multiply it by 2x. 2x divided by 2x gives us 1, so we are only multiplying this fraction by 1, thus preserving the value. Now we can begin adding the fractions. Let's simplify. In the first fraction, we have 3 times 3 in numerator. This is 9 out of 3 times 10x squared gives us 30x squared plus. In the second numerator, we have 7 times 2x. This gives us 14x out of. In the denominator, we have 15x times 2x. This gives us 15 times 2 is 30. X times x is x to the second. To combine fractions for adding or subtracting, once you have a common denominator, you can bring everything over it. So the common denominator is 30x squared. From the first numerator we have 9 plus 14x from the second numerator, and this is a perfectly fine solution since we cannot reduce anything. But you might see the exponents in decreasing order, meaning this is a positive 9 and positive 14. We have x to the first power and it will come first. So we have 14x plus 9 out of 30x squared. And this is our solution. That's all.